Hey, so I want to talk about My Hero Academia, and you can't stop me. But from the title alone, you probably don't know where I stand on it. So, I really like it. It's one of my favourite anime, and maybe that's bias talking since it got me into anime. I know a lot of people don't like it or think that, you know, the fan base is the fucking worst, which, to be fair, it is. But, if the worst thing about a show is its fan base and nothing about the actual show itself, you've got to admit it can't be that bad. I do want to show you how much of a fucking nerd I am, though, so I'll be right back. Okay, so you got Dark Deku, Kirishima, Dabi, you've got Bakugo back there, a Deku there, an Engenium there. Also got Dabi in the background here, and Dark Deku here. Now, as of recording this, My Hero has officially wrapped up, I think, 2 months ago, at the middle of December, and if you're wondering why I'm talking about it now, I just made time to finish it, and if you're wondering what I've been doing for the past remaining 2 months since I've uploaded like one video, I've been asleep. You know, hibernation, it's a real thing. Like, not just in bears, I'm lazy. Anyway, I wanted to talk about My Hero for the longest time, but I'm very aware it's a lot of people think it's like really cringy and not very good. So I've kind of been like, I would enjoy it just for me. But now that it's wrapped and I've finally seen the ending, I want to talk about it. Now, obviously, I can't get into it too much without talking about spoilers, but what I will say is that if it sounds interesting to you, and you've been put off by, like, bad reviews or people saying it's cringy, just give it a watch. I will say that first season is a bit kiddie, but it's a good, like, base for how the rest of the show's going to go. Obviously, it gets darker as it goes on. So, if that sounds interesting to you, give it a first few episodes a watch. Let me know what you think. Anyway, I'm going to be honest, a lot of people watching this are probably already seen it. So, let's get into it. Now, it is not a perfect show. I want to say that right off the bat. It's like, some of the character names and costumes aren't great. I understand, like, Class 1A and that. They're children. Their costumes and names are what children would come up with, like Sugar Man or something like that. But, like, what? There's a washing machine hero? Why is there a washing machine hero? And obviously, like, the big standout for costumes is Yaoyorozu. I get that her quirk needs more skin, but can it just cover up a bit more, please? I'm getting off topic. Anyway, sorry. Some of them are sick. Like, Eggshot is so cool. But yeah, it is a bit cringy. It's a bit kiddie and cringy at the beginning, and it doesn't really lose it as it goes on. It just kind of matures, but it's unapologetically anime. Every step through there, anytime something kind of weird happens, it immediately cuts to the other guy. Goes, when he fell just now, he touched every object in the planet, and now he can use it as it's like, I don't need that. I could just watch the anime and be like, oh, that was cool. I think that for me is and Mineta as a character, But apart from that, I think everything else in the show is its strengths, and I'm not going to talk about all of them, because otherwise this video would be like 6 hours long. But I will say the story arcs, fucking brilliant, okay? Obviously, the first season to the USJ's alright, but then you get to the sports festival, Stain, Overhaul, I'm skipping a few things, Camino War, The Beast Forest, Jakku Hospital. All the battle arcs are so good, especially the Overhaul one. I do think that one's my favourite because each of those battles individually, like Mirio versus Overhaul, Sunita versus the 3 villains, I don't know what they're called, and Red Riot Fat Gun versus Rapper. I think that one is so good specifically. Battle arcs are really cool. The characters are the main strength, though. To say it has maybe, I want to say like 6 OVAs, which are basically just fillers. It does such a good job at, like, explaining why the characters want to be heroes, what they're about, and, like, that's 20 kids in a class you've got to give different personalities to. I think it does that really well, and especially, like, some of the, like, Aizawa, my boy, they do a really good job explaining exactly what he's about instantly. He does, if you go back and watch those first few episodes, I think he says the word rational about 60 different times. But that's beside the point. Obviously, not everyone gets the same treatment. You don't really learn about, like, Jiro's background. You don't really learn about Hagakure's background, stuff like that. But, like, obviously as the show goes on, you learn about Todoroki, probably one of the most complex side characters, and, like, he's got more story than anyone else. You learn about Todoroki, you learn about Ingenium and why he goes after Stain, you learn about like Shoji and everything about that. And I don't know, I just think to have such a big cast of characters and giving a story and a personality to each of them, I think is really cool. I do want to say Bakugo and Shoji are two of my favourites, and I've liked them both since the USJ. That's all I'm gonna say. You say you like him now that after season 6. I'm happy you're on the bandwagon. But if you didn't feel anything when he's flying around and then he goes like, "Can I still catch up to you, Izuku?" And then he goes to All Might and he goes, "You know, I really wanted your autograph." If you didn't cry there, you're not human. Obviously, Shoji, the whole reason he wears this mask, I think, is so well done, and you just feel so sorry for these people. There's a bit in it where Shoji just goes like, they're like dunking on Kaminari, I can't remember when it is, but Shoji just goes, "Kaminari, you have positive attributes." So yeah, the story arcs are really good, the characters are pretty much the highlight through the whole thing. I think Hawks is such a cool character to be like a superhero, but he's like, and you see why he's like that when you look at Lady Nagant and everything that happens there. I do love the mentality of go beyond plus ultra. It's cringy, yes, but the message behind it is you go to your 100% and then you go beyond that. I think it's a good message for an anime. And then you've got the villains. You've got, Dabi, Tomura Shigaraki, Toga, Spinner, Mr. Compress, one of my favourites. I think that's everyone. Twice, obviously. R.I.P. Fuck you, Hawks. And it gives like a special reason why each of them are evil. Tomura Shigaraki got very, very unlucky with how he was born. Also, I want to point out, I fucking knew All For One gave Shigaraki the decay. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought, oh, that would be cool, because it's a bit weird how Shigaraki, the son of Shimura, I think her name is, gets like a really powerful quirk that All For One can take control of. And did they have anything like that? No, he gave him the fucking decay. I fucking knew it. Anyway, Shigaraki got unlucky with how he was born. So did Toga. She wanted to live in a world that she could do whatever she wanted, like everyone else, and that is sad. Obviously, you can't talk about grief and everything without talking about Dabi. Toya, poor Toya. Again, very unlucky with how he was born. It's none of these people's fault. Apart from maybe Spinner. Spinner, I think, is a really interesting character because he's not. And if you want to be like, oh, Spinner's whole thing is that he has nothing and that's what drives him, that's a bit lame. But you think about like everyday people, the amount of people that don't really have any motivation to do anything or no big aspirations, and they want something like that, I think is really realistic. Not every person on the planet has like a deep-seated motivation to be number one or something, and Spinner's just happy to follow his friend into battle, and that's all there is to him, and I think that's really cool. Mr. Compress didn't get much time, you know, he's like a great-great-grandson of a famous thief, and that's about it, but you know, you gotta love him. And Twice, mate, talk about he's like the unluckiest motherfucker on that. He did nothing wrong, realistically. He accidentally hit someone with his bike, got fired, and no one would hire him. And then he got traumatized by his doubles. His response to that? To find people who would accept him. He did, and guess what? He got someone killed by accident because he trusted someone, and then he got himself, well, I don't want to say he got himself killed. He died because he kept trusting the wrong people. And like, he wouldn't have even died if his quirk wasn't as dangerous as it was. And you just, I don't know, I did cry both times when I saw Twice die. It's just the strength of all these people that no one's like truly evil apart from All For One. And even then he gets a little bit with his little brother, but then it's more a possession thing, so Also, Endeavour. Where do people stand on Endeavour? I like him. Okay, I just want to clarify. I like his abilities, his redemption arc, and his impact in the story. Other than that, dickhead. I'm not trying to excuse the fact that he abused his wife and children. I know you're not supposed to, but I think the idea that you're redeeming the irredeemable is so cool. I think they did such a good job with Endeavour and him atoning for everything. And Natsuo going, oh, I don't care what you did. I'm still not going to talk to you. I don't care. I think it's really cool. Because it's not like Endeavour does something and immediately Natsuo's like, oh, okay, we're cool now. He's like, no, I still don't like you. And I think that's a really cool thing. I get it's not really satisfying, but it's realistic. And I think to redeem someone like Endeavour, who's a hero who acts way more villainous than any other person in there, apart from maybe All For One, and trying to redeem him, and getting him to a point where a lot of people, I reckon, would go, maybe, getting that indecisiveness of whether you should forgive him or not, I think means it was done really well. But, that's up to you. Okay, so I've talked a bit about my favourite parts, my favourite characters, why I like it so much. I want to talk about the ending now. So, I don't know what I expected for it. I think there was a lot of setup from season 6 was where everything kicked off with it. I think there was a lot of setup from season 5 going into season 6. And everything, just shit hit the fan so fucking hard. I understand that they couldn't wait for him to be finished. But I'm so... Right, if you rewatch it, and you get to the bit where Shigaraki comes out of the test tube, and then he gets revived. If Exless had lifted him out of the water or just killed him, none of that would have happened. I want to point that out. But obviously Mirako, yes, she's my favorite pro. I think Edgeshot is up there. And so is All Might, but you don't really get much time with Edgeshot, and All Might's just fucking sick. But Mirako doing the amount of shit she did, getting through all the upper tiers, and still getting to Shigaraki, I'm in love. Jesus Christ, I've just digged myself into a deep hole. So the whole Jakku incident, I do think the Liberation Front war was better than the Jakku Hospital one, but then obviously you get to Shigaraki versus Endeavour and all that lot, and then Gigantomachia comes in, and it kind of merges together. And obviously Miss Midnight, R.I.P. Dabi's dance, admitting he was Toya in front of Todoroki, in front of Endeavour, and fuck it, there's so many Todorokis, and Shoto saying to Endeavour, Dad will deal with this later. Mate, it breaks my heart. That's why I've got 2 Dabis. He's my favourite villain. He deserved better. Yeah, so everything kind of blew up, and then we go to Vigilante Deku. I fucking love his outfit in that. Like, I've shown you, I've got 2 of them. It's so cool. You finally see him put on the metal mask, because he wears it around his neck so often. You're like, just put it on, it'd be so cool. And then he finally does, and he gets the ears, and he gets the sharpened fingers, and the black whip hanging out of him. I remembered it being longer. He only defeats Lady Nagant in that phase. But I wish you could have seen a bit more fighting. I understand why they didn't. But at the same time, it would have been so cool to see more of Dark Deku. I do think that Lady Nagant fight was really good, and how you learn all his different quirks. Yeah, and then obviously moving into the proper ending. Obviously you've got Todoroki and Dabi's fight, which goes into Dabi versus Endeavour when you introduce Kurogiri. So yeah, Dabi and Todoroki's fight was really good. I do wish, because he's like, I copied your move and it worked, I do wish he was a bit more like, you tried to freeze me even though my body's able to absorb freezing temperatures. Not your smartest plan, but whatever. And then he blows himself up. Obviously, the All For One fight before with Endeavour and Hawks was really cool. I thought that was one of the better fights. Obviously, Shoji spinner fight where you learn about Shoji's past is really cool. All For One versus All Might, which I think Stain coming back and fucking dying was mental. I really liked it. I thought it was interesting. I thought it did a good enough job of being like, All Might is obviously on the back foot. He's getting hit a lot, but he's using his strategy and his brain to fully understand what All For One can do and countering him best he can. Because he was never really that one-sided. I think All For One had him on the ropes a lot, but All Might managed to hold his own, which I think is really interesting, really cool. And obviously Bakugo's return was spoiled for me, unfortunately. I knew Bakugo returned, I knew Deku lost his arms, and I knew, obviously, All Might, Deku won. Those are the 3 things I know, which didn't spoil as much for me as I thought it did, because Bakugo comes back quite quickly, but, you know, him flying around, saving All Might, going as fast as he can, just laughing maniacally, mate. I'm kind of mad that Deku didn't get to keep his powers. I thought it would have been so cool, but I get why he didn't, kind of at least. Getting to Shigaraki and saving him, especially, I think it's Carnage, I think it was a lot of people call it. in that last battle. But Carnage versus Shigaraki, really cool. I liked Deku saving Tenko because he said he would, and obviously Shimura seeing everything that happened when she abandoned her son. Heartbreaking, obviously. And then Deku saving Tenko, but because he did that, All For One was able to take over again. And I think that was really, that it wasn't just I mean, it wasn't this anyway, but it wasn't just Deku going, hey, stop, and Shigaraki's like, alright, fine. But that weakness that Shigaraki showed made All For One be able to take over, and then obviously it's like Endgame, everyone coming through to help. I love the hand, like Tomura's hand design. I think that it was always really cool, and then getting the final long hand when he's taken over by All For One, I think it was a really cool design choice. And then you get the last two punches. Also, I love Bakugo just flying in. He's like, did you fly here from the emergency room? He's like, you're damn right I did. Yeah. And then obviously Deku becoming a teacher, I thought was very good because he analyses things constantly. I thought, yeah, teacher's a right fit for him, regardless of whether he kept his abilities or not. I mean, All Might was a teacher. Number one hero, so makes sense. Alright, I want to point out, animation, fucking amazing. But some of these fights are better than, I would argue, like One Punch Man, the entirety of Season 3. And that's like a Bakugo versus Deku fight. All I want to say, the little spin he does, mate. Anyway. Dabi's in hospital, and Endeavor comes back to talk to him every day. And Todoroki going, Toya, what's your favourite food? And he goes, soba. And he goes, mine too. No. Hawk's becoming Safety Commission leader makes sense. I do, not mad about that, especially since, you know, he lost his power, so he can't really do much. Okay. I'm going to keep this brief, because I could go into another 20-minute ramble about the movies. Okay, so first movie, I think it's called Two Heroes, was alright. You notice a pattern with the movies that they introduce someone new each time. Melissa was okay. She just was like, I want to help best I can. Don't worry, guys, I'm here with you. And you're like, okay. And she gets the security system back online, which fair enough, you do need her for. But after a certain point, it's just a bit annoying. Obviously, it's the only movie with actually All Might in it. The villain was cool. I didn't really like Sam. No, it's not Sam. Shield. David Shield, I think. Being a villain, and then he was betrayed, and then it didn't matter, and you're like, okay, I just don't care about this enough. Movie 2 was, I think, my favourite. I don't know. The movies from here get really good. 9, I was going to call him Cloud. 9 is a really cool villain. I love the Deku Bakugo fight. Deku Bakugo fight, didn't fight. Against, immediately 9, I really like that fight. The hair person and the dummy guy weren't really big problems, realistically, to say, like, what especially the animal that Todoroki, Ingenium, Sue, and Kirishima fight. Fucking hell, where did they find him? I thought that fight was really cool. The freezing and hibernate for a while, I thought was sick. Obviously, the Bakugo, Deku fight and everyone else trying to slow 9 down and make him use his powers as much as possible, I thought was really cool. And then split All For One, is it All For One? Or One For All, between Bakugo and Deku, and have them fight, and seeing Bakugo with the power of One For All was just fucking sick. I thought that was really cool, and it was a really cool choice. And then in the end, it didn't matter. So we get to movie 3, the Humanity one. I really liked that one. I think Rhodey Soul, I forget. Yeah, Rhodey Soul's probably my favourite person, that new person they brought in, and it felt a bit more natural, because it was just like a mix-up by accident. And the whole humorized thing, and Deku's fight with the guy who reflects things, and Bakugo's fight with the two swirly spike dudes. I thought they were really good. Todoroki's fight with the big demon guy was alright. He defeats him with fire, even though he's a fire user. I didn't get that. But it doesn't really matter. And then obviously Rhodey Soul saving the day, which, you know, big shout out Rhodey. Fourth one, Dark Might. Cool. Until it's not. It's a really cool concept. I really like the types of villains that it has. And I think them creating a whole new world and the butler trying to kill Anna because she wants it to happen, I think is really, like, a really interesting character to bring in. Obviously, the last fight gets a bit confusing. Everything kind of happens at once. You're like, what the fuck is going on? But to be fair, the 9 fight was also like that, so you can't really bring too many negative points against it. I don't know. The movies are good. I really like the movies. I think genuinely you could probably just watch the movies and have a good time and not have to worry too much about the rest of the show. You get a bit confused between gaps because suddenly Deku has like 6 more quirks, but you know, you don't have to worry. But also, calling them quirks, I think they're saying enough that you kind of just get used to it, but quirks is a really cool term for superpowers. Okay, so what I thought of it all, like I said, it's my favourite anime. I don't think, I've watched 8 seasons that I do not think another anime will come across that I will like, yes, this is my new favourite. Because, like I said, it's a nostalgia pick. It's one of my, apart from Death Note, which was the first technical anime I ever watched, I think maybe Demon Slayer, but it's one of the first anime like I really got into. I think the ideas, the characters, the heart that was put into everything is just, like I said, I don't think it'll ever be top for me. The ending as a whole, I think, was really good. I think it had a lot to wrap up, and I think it did it really well. That's everything. This video is 40 minutes long. I didn't mean to. I saw the thing at the camera. I was like, oh, 40 minutes. That'll do. I've talked a lot. So yeah, that's my thoughts on My Hero Academia. Whether you love it or hate it, thanks for watching. I guess I just want to talk about it for a bit because it's my favourite anime. And I'll see you hopefully soon. Bye.